Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Ortali. I am the founder of the Ladies Community and Heart and Mind Talks. And today I am bringing to you another interview for our online summit, The One. And if you haven't caught any of our other videos yet, this summit, the theme of this summit is one with purpose, one with self, and one with others. And I am bringing to you an influencer, the host of the Raptors, if you're from Toronto and or you saw us win in the NBA finals, and content creator and just all around creative expert, Kat, right? That's what I'm gonna call you. Now I'm gonna try your last name, so you might have to do this with me. Okay, so I'm going for Kat Stefankiewicz.
Stefankiewicz, yep.
Stefankiewicz, see? Okay, thank you. Stefankiewicz. I tried to write it phonetically and then look, and the name, it always makes me nervous, Kat.
And it looks worse than it is. So.
I know, right? Isn't that always, like, that's kind of the theme of life. Everything looks worse than it is, and then we psych ourselves out, and then it's never as bad as we think it is.
I love that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Every time.
Right?
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so pumped to have you here. Just have like a deep dive into, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about creative world, you know, how you got to where you are, content, building community, and just deep stuff. I know you are super vulnerable at how you build connection with self. And I love that. I want to give people tips to what that looks like for you and how they can maybe implement that in their life as well.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, cool.
Morning chat.
Right? So fun. So tell me, when you hear the theme, one with purpose, one with self, one with others, what does that mean to you?
I think it comes back to what I like to share online, the fact that as much as we all are different, we're all very the same. And we all go through the same things, and we all have the same thoughts. And you talk about my vulnerability online, and I just think it's so important to, you know, share the highs and the lows, to make people realize that they're not alone, and that we can work through this together. So I think that's what I'm taking away from this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And you can go follow her if you don't already. Her Instagram handle is MatterofKat. Now, tell me, you are super busy. You're the host of the Raptors. You have so many other projects. You teach spin class. And how, with such a busy schedule, how do you actively show up on your stories, on your social media, and for your community daily?
I think it's easy because I'm doing what I love, to be honest. You know, once you fall into that place, it's easy to jump out of bed. Not every day, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about that too. But once you've kind of found your home, your light, your happy place, it's exciting to tackle it every day. You know, I love what I do on the performing side of things. I love the give back when it comes to spin, and the, you know, fitness side of things. I love conversation with people and digging a little deeper, you know, than the topical turbulence that we often get sucked into. So yeah, so it's if you find, you know, what you love, it's easy to show up.
Yeah. Do you ever have days, and I mean, we all know the answer. I just want to know how you get through them. But those days when you wake up and you're thinking like, I don't really feel like being on social. I don't feel like sharing where I'm at, you know. I know a lot of people, it's easier for us when we're in a good place to say like, oh, hey, like send a positive vibe. But if we're in that space where we just don't feel good about ourselves or anything really in life, it's a spiral. How do you show up and share on those days?
To be honest, I am very open about the fact that I have to step away on those days. You know, I won't post IG stories one day. I don't feel guilty anymore because I know that I need to build myself up again before I can give to others. And I think that that's so important, to be in tune with your needs before you can openly give. When it comes to, like, you know, a Raptors game, I can't not show up.
Yeah.
But it's so funny when you have a hard day. Like, I've had days where, you know, personal problems are unfortunately affecting me. And again, it comes to, like, when you love what you do, the minute I pick up that microphone and, you know, start speaking to the crowd and that just the energy from the arena, like, it's easy. Like that's the only way I can
Yeah.
explain it. Easy.
Yeah.
But I do believe in taking a step back and being honest about it. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I went through some stuff last year where, you know, I couldn't post for like a week. I didn't have it in me. And I believe in only posting authentic, you know, content. That word is overused sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
what it is, right? Genuine.
Yeah.
Let's genuine content.
I think, and you
So,
know what? I love that you stopped on that word, because I think we need to be accountable to the words we use, and not because you don't mean authentic, because I know you do, but I think because it's used so much, we lose the definition of what
completely.
authentic actually means.
And I
Yeah.
feel silly saying this, but I used to get like a little worked up when authentic, like everybody was just spitting it out,
Mm,
because they weren't following up
yeah.
with, with the definition of that word, you know, like it's like those trends that, you know, everybody
Yeah.
dived into. So I think it's important to, yeah, exactly. Be true to those words and expressions.
So then what does authentic mean to you, and how do you show up as your authentic self?
I mean, just really tapping into your values and what you truly believe in, even if it's not, you know, the hot thing of society right now, or whatever you want to say, call it. But it's just like, I sometimes sit back, like I share a lot of writing, and I sometimes sit back and is this, you know, is this what Kat would say? Like before I post it, like if I have any kind of, you know, worries about it, I literally sit there and I'm like, is this what Kat would say? Is this what Kat would say with anything that I put out there content wise? And if it's a yes, then we go with it. So
Cool. Yeah, that's great. What I want to go back to some of those times that are more difficult and you do need to step away. How do you pull yourself out of those, and or even honor those times? Like, what are some things that you do? Because I know people are sitting at home maybe feeling not their best self. And what
mhm.
would you say to them? What would you recommend for them to do?
Yeah, it's so funny that we're speaking during this time with
Mhm.
COVID-19 happening, and the fact that we all are at home, you know, in our quiet space, maybe asking ourselves those hard questions. But this is exactly what I
I
do.
want
And
to add something to that too. I did a poll on Instagram
uh-huh.
just a couple days ago asking how many people are reevaluating and reflecting on their life right now.
Oh, that was a good
100%. 100%.
100%. See?
Beautiful.
And that's what I do on those days that are hard, you know, like ask yourself those questions. Why am I feeling this way? Like, why am I sad? Why am I frustrated? Why am I all of a sudden, you know, not confident in the work I've been putting out for years? And it's doing those other things that we're all doing right now. Meditation is a huge part of my life. Like, I can't tell you how that's changed things for me. I just took a deep breath because that's a huge part of it. And just really going back to the simple things that light you up, like, you know, taking care of yourself, a hot bath, you know, a good workout, long runs. Those are my everything. That's what's getting me through this too. Those things that are almost, well, therapeutic, right? I'm a huge
Yeah.
writing it down, and again, not fighting it. Like, when you feel things, it's for a reason. And I think it's just really just absorbing those feelings, and writing is huge for me. Writing it, journaling it, you know, asking, you know, why do I feel this way? Why am I frustrated? Why do I lack confidence? And it's wild what comes out of it. You almost have epiphanies sometimes. And I often go back and read some of my writings, my journaling, like weeks later, and that's when you go, whoa, okay, and you work from there.
I really like that you said that, because so often we'll write and then never go back to it. But
Oh my
when
gosh,
you go back to it, yeah.
it's wild what, like, you don't notice it in the morning, in the moment, excuse me. Like freestyle writing, it's just,
Yes.
it's so good. And again, I do encourage you to go back, because you'll notice some things that you had no idea were sitting in here and here. So
In case you don't know what freestyle writing is, it's really just not stopping, right? It's about just flowing the pen to paper, not caring. If you have nothing to say, literally write. Like, I have nothing to say right now. I'm just waiting for something to flow through me.
everything is correct. That's what I
Yeah.
always say. Everything that hits that page is the right thing. So
Yeah. And you're a really self-aware person. Do you find there are similarities in your triggers and the things that do bring you down?
Ooh, I feel a lot. um, Emotionally, I feel a lot energetically, like right now from the world. Like I had a huge headache for 3 days, and I know that that's just all, the chaos that's consuming us right now. So that is definitely a trigger. And the minute that I realized that that's just the way life's going to be, I'm going to feel these things. I deal with it differently. Acceptance, that's huge. Just accept your triggers, accept your feelings. And then when it comes to work, I think my work industry is so competitive. So I often fall into the triggers of, just not being good enough. I think, as confident as you can be, you're always going to be there. And like sharing content is hard. Like it's a piece of you, right? And it's hard to, your confidence will do a little roller coaster. So I think like those are the triggers in my life. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think so many people can relate to that. And I mean, you have a community, you have a following, and you still feel those things, you know?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
It drives me mad some weeks when I'm like, Kat, why are we back in this space again? Right? Like you just had such a great, interview, or you had this, like, that's something here's a little tip too. We often digest the negative and forget the positive. So like, comments online and stuff, you're going to like absorb all those negative comments on a post, or, on a video you've shared. But I've started to like screen grab the positive comments, because those are the ones that we, for some reason, just let slip aside. And then I've been like gathering them like in a little folder, like on my phone. So that day where, my performance isn't perfect in like in my eyes, because I am a perfectionist, I'll read through them and go, okay, you got this. It's just a little like uplift for me. So
Yeah.
I think digest that, like really digest the positive, because we always soak up that negative, and then it just, takes us the wrong way.
Yeah. You can also do you can call it whatever the heck you want, but you can also do it as a journal and just
Yeah.
have evidence. Like you're basically accumulating evidence that you're good and you're good at what you do, right?
About it, like
Yeah.
people like, oh, that's so selfish. No, it's not. Like you need to, have that in your back pocket.
Yeah.
I started as a cheerleader, so that's like my little like cheer group there, right? You got
Yeah.
that going. So
I love that. So, okay, bring us to that. How do you go from being a cheerleader to then the host of the Raptors and all these other creative endeavors that you're working on?
yeah, I've really, thinking back, I would never have thought I would be doing what I'm doing right now. I mean, some of my jobs didn't even exist 10 years ago, right? Like that's the wild part. In high school, I was very lost. The creative arts were my happy place. And unfortunately, and there just wasn't, those options weren't available. You had drama or you had guitar class, right? And that was it. And now it's so wonderful to see now the programs that are offered as far back as high school, even younger. So I was definitely lost, knowing that my happy place was the creative arts, and thinking, what the heck was I going to do with it? So I danced competitively growing up, but never wanted to really follow that professional dance path. But my singing teacher said, oh, Sheridan College is auditioning. I went to music theater school. So that was my step out of high school. And then cracking into the industry as an entertainer, you kind of have to use all your skills to get in, right? Like you're not going to get your so-called dream job off the top. So I auditioned for the Raptors Dance Pack, and landed a role like a few weeks out of college, music theater school. And from there, I just kind of opened my heart to, what life was going to give me, because the industry is, you got to take the opportunities as they come to you. And, I kept working on my craft. I knew that I wanted to transition into television eventually. And one day, so my little transition, one day, NBA TV Canada was looking for like a guest host. They're going to take you through the life of the Raptors dance pad captain. So I was like, cool, let's do it. Anyways, I didn't realize that was my audition for a new show. So that was my transition. But again, I didn't reach. I just kept working and auditioning and just trusting that something was going to come my way and opening up to that. So that was my transition. And then I did TV and dancing for a couple years, and then had the opportunity to jump on the mic as the in-arena host. So again, people always ask me, how'd you do it? And I wish I had a 1, 2, 3 step process, but it's a lot of just like trusting that life's gonna carry you, and trusting that, opening up, being open to opportunities and possibilities, and taking what's dropped in your plate. So yeah.
I want to dive deeper into this element of trust. And you also said, open your heart. Mm-hmm. And I talk and I believe in surrender and leaning into uncertainty. That's been such a huge thing of my life. How do you do it? What does it feel like for you?
I don't know if it's just, I've always kind of had that mentality. Like and I'm grateful for it. I was born with the positive pulse, I guess. It hasn't been hard to carry that through life. But it's something that I definitely encourage others to do often. So maybe that's, another reason why I'm here to help people get into that space too. But it's always flipping, like, it's a habit for me now to flip a negative into a positive. So when it comes to anything, when you don't get that job, it's not meant to be, because something bigger and better is coming. And I think it's just working with that mentality, always realizing when you get into that negative space, like notice it, and then find at least one positive in that moment to carry you forward. I just, like I said, I wish there was more black and white. Like when I sit on panels and stuff to tell people, how do you do it? How do you turn your passion into your career? It's deeper than taking the steps. It's definitely it's deeper. It comes from within.
I agree. I think it comes from the heart. It comes from just opening up and mindset, right? I think it's so important. I think I grew up not being as good at this whole surrender and uncertainty thing. I was like an action taker, and I was like, go, go, go. But then it really led me to exhaustion, and just like, I didn't feel good. And so, like whenever you're pushing and you're forcing,
yeah, you weren't enjoying the process. I do believe in action though at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't just sit back and like open your heart, wait for things to happen. But if you don't have a job, work on your craft in a different way at home, like create videos. I'm just speaking from like what I do for work. And we're so lucky to be able to share it on an online platform too, right? You don't need a stage or a television camera. Like you can do it right here in your house. And as long as you're putting that energy into what you're passionate about and what you want to, see in the future, even if it's just daydreaming about it on your couch, like visualizing like where I want to be and where I want to go. Like I just believe in that build of energy, and you're going to see it happen.
Yeah, I think that's the key though. If you have the right energy and intention behind it, and back to what you said before, if you love what you do, then the energy is just going to be different, and it's easier for you to trust and surrender because you're not pushing it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Yeah. It's beautiful when you see things actually, in front of your eyes instead of just daydreaming about it. So.
I know, right? Can you share some of the things that you daydream about right now?
Ooh, interesting. I think I'm going to be honest. I'm in a transition career-wise too. I haven't exhausted where I'm at, but I'm definitely, I'm a big believer in feeling challenged constantly in work. And I'm missing a little bit of that right now. And so I just daydream about, maybe the next steps. Like I haven't quite figured it out. So this is really good for me to be stuck in my condo and, figuring things out like that too. But yeah, no, I think I just daydream about finding that excitement again, this is what I want to be doing every day. And I wanted to say, like, I still want to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm a person that needs 50 different projects going on at the same time. And I think as you change as a person, what gets you high, changes too. And I'm just in a very big transition when it comes to just something's missing about what I need to be giving out to the world right now. So that's what I've been daydreaming about and figuring out. That makes sense? I don't know.
Yeah, it totally does. So what else are you working on right now? If people only know you as one thing, maybe they follow your Instagram or they've seen you at the Raptors stadium. What else do you do and who are you as a person?
Yeah, well, again, this time is a little bit different. I'm unemployed right now. Which, a lot of us are going through it as, freelancers and artists. Like it is what it is. But I think it's so beautiful too, how I've seen so many people creating online. Like even if you're working in finance or something, I'm like, oh, I didn't know he played guitar, or I didn't know, this, that you're such a great painter. I think that's kind of beautiful. Throw that question at me one more time.
Yeah, what else do you do? What other projects do you work on?
So right now in my studio, I think it's so beautiful to be able to pull out a piece of, art or, create something from just what's going on in your life. So I'm just really working on just, the honesty of the situation right now. And then I'm working on a script. I am a writer too. I'm going to say that. I'm a writer too.
Yeah.
I am working on some poetry. I do that too. And yeah, I just I'm working on little skits to keep me occupied.
Cool.
And I need to create, and I think it's easier than you think it is during this time.
Yeah. I actually think we all need to create in some capacity.
Yes.
And I love,
beautiful. They're seeing it online now. People tapping into that, enjoying it, right? So
have you read the book, The Artist's Way?
Yeah, it's actually sitting in my library.
There you go. Right. And it's all about, how can you add that creativity? We're human beings. We love to create, and it's so great that your job allows you to create, and not everybody's job allows them to do that. And so just ask yourself, where are you being creative? How are you expressing yourself in your life? And, like Kat's saying, she likes to be challenged. She likes expressing herself in different ways, and just looking for that in your life to really reflect, what does that mean to you? And how do you want to share and express yourself and show up in the world every day?
No, absolutely. Yeah. You believe in creating every day? What do you feel like it gives people?
Yeah. So I believe, oh, no, I love it. Go, Kat. This is great. We're just having a conversation. I believe that being creative helps us with connection. It helps us with connection with ourselves. It helps us connect to others. I mean, the theme of this entire summit, because when I'm creating, I'm also not thinking about all that other stuff. I think it's almost like meditative for me. I think it just allows me to use a different part of my brain and allows me to problem solve in a different way. And it just pulls you out of the monotonous daily patterns. It allows you to just step out,
And I was going to say, it brings you back to the simple things that are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? And I really believe in those too. And I believe that everything is art, but you have to get quiet to notice it. So.
Yeah. If people have trouble noticing what they're good at, what their purpose is, what sparks joy in their life, how did you find that? And what would you say to them?
I often tell people that your passion is what you do when you're procrastinating. So, or when you have that moment, you know, of just, well, like we are now, just me on my couch, what do I want to do? It's that first thing that you think of. I think that, or I can't wait to do that. That's your little happy place, your little passion project kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then what do you do? So you go to writing when you want to procrastinate, or reading, or what's that thing for you?
Writing,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I love it. Or putting together a post on Instagram, the writing and the visual of it. That combination for me is amazing. That's why I love Instagram. Maybe I should be better. I know. Or I was like, you're never on Twitter anymore, Kat, or Facebook. But I just find like the combination of words and visuals is just my jam. So Instagram it is. But yeah.
Are you on TikTok yet?
No, should I be?
I don't know. It's really fascinating. It's an interesting platform. Yeah.
You get to be clever with it, right?
Yeah.
But it's on my maybe I'll check it out list.
Right? I mean, I've been really interested to see how people in, let's say, the self-development or creative space are using it. And there are some people that, give tips and life hacks and that sort of stuff. And it's not just all, we see all the things that go viral and the jokes and that sort of stuff. And that's not really my personality, but yeah, some people are doing interesting things. So who knows?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
What else this year? Do you set goals for yourself?
I do. And, I was thinking about that recently too, because I set goals for myself, but at the same time, when you fall back into that, opening up your heart to what's coming with my industry, it's, you can't say in, 3 months, I'd like to be on this network or whatever, because you don't know. Like, you have to be open to whatever route, you're going to take. I think I set personal goals. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not really in 10 years, I'm going to be doing this. I don't know why. I'm just very live in the moment, but always have something that challenges you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get that.
About that. Do you
No,
set
I get it.
5 years?
So, it's funny. I used to set a lot more goals, but then when I started to get better at surrendering and leaning into the uncertainty and actually enjoying the journey, like you said, you don't know the path that you're going to get there. So my goals aren't as specific, like I have to be doing this at this time. For me, my goals are more service based and how I want to feel.
Same. So that's what I meant.
Right? Yeah.
You get to that 5-year mark and you're like, oh, I'm not, married with kids and my own television show. Darn, you know what I mean? So how do you get there and you don't meet it? But I think it's more like you said with personal goals. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because then that way, if we say, I want to feel free and easy and creative, then it allows the opportunities and it allows me to be of service and get out of my own way. Because I can get really in my head, very headstrong, like this is how it's supposed to be. And I don't want to be like that. So then I just stick to the feeling and it's safer for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely
agree. Yeah. You mentioned kids, being on a network. Is that a pressure that you feel to have kids, get married, do the traditional, I'll call it a traditional approach?
I don't, but I've always been that person that doesn't take the traditional approach. I've said to people, let's date, but just know that my career is my boyfriend too, right? I don't know if it's also I live downtown Toronto. I'm surrounded by people that are, career driven. Do I believe in a family and want a family? Absolutely. But that's something I've let go of too. I could have been married with kids right now. That would have also changed my career path and what energy I could put into that. I think that's something that women in my industry often, juggle. It's a lot more accepted now to, be 7 months pregnant on camera. When I was getting into the industry though, it kind of, you really had to think about it, and you still do, because it's time away from work. It's time away from work. It's 2 years of stepping away from what you've grown. So yeah, I don't feel the pressure, but I just know what I need to focus on right now, and what's going to make me happy in my days right now. And I really, really look forward to family.
Yeah, that's awesome. You talk about the industry and how it's changed. It's now more acceptable to be pregnant on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel any other pressures in the industry?
I think it's so beautiful now that it's more of just like the everyday person is that person in the spotlight. I don't know if it's because I started in a dance, heavy focus when it came to career, where, you had to be this big and this tall. And, but now I just think it's so beautiful that, advertisements and hosting television shows, it's just like, I relate to you, so I don't feel those pressures like I used to. So I'm going to take the positive side of it. I just think it's beautiful how that's changed. The everyday person is telling you that you should buy this cheese. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy that cheese. Where it used to be like, no, you don't look like you eat cheese. Things like that. So I just think that that's so beautiful now that it's just not this cookie cutter, perfection. That gets hired anymore, or that you see. It's just like it's everybody, and I just think that's such a wonderful transition. So yeah,
that is really nice to see. Your career and the things that you do, you really put yourself out there every day, and I know people feel a lot of fear. They feel scared to public speak, to get up in front of people, to share their content on social. Mm-hmm. Do you still feel fear?
I feel fear when I'm being vulnerable. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, again, it's a piece of your heart that you're putting out there in what I do. When it comes to in-game hosting, when it comes to what I share online. I definitely feel fear, but I also get a high from conquering it. So pressing, send and just being like, whatever, again, tapping into that. Is this what Kat would say? Is this what Kat would do? And if I can 110% say, yeah, girl, that's you, then we send it out there. And yeah, it always is positive. Like, that's the crazy part, right? Like, we do hesitate, but I think fear is good for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
Last night before I go on camera or, do a hit in the game, like, do you still get nervous? And it's, I believe in that little bit of anxiety to kind of propel you into it. So I like fear. It drive me, to be honest. Like, it's like, oh, okay, there's that feeling again. I always feel so great on the other side, and you always, you can do it. You make it work. So
I think what you said is so important, because it's about reframing nervousness and fear. It's not, oh no, I feel this, I can't do something. It's, oh, I'm feeling this, how do you move through it? And, oh, I'm feeling excited, right? Like, anxiousness, nervousness, whatever you want to call it, feels the same as excitement. We just put a different word on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it's again, changing that negative, fear is negative, changing it into a positive, and jumping that hurdle. And I just think it's, for me, it's that, maybe that's one of my challenges, finding fear some days, right? And breaking right through it. So
yeah. And then I guess they say feel scared and fearful every day. And that's kind of sometimes where that challenge comes from. It's conquering those feelings.
Completely. Yeah. No, like we're talking, we're saying fear so much right now. Like, I'm excited. That's how I'm feeling right now, because that just means that you're breaking into something bigger that you've never been there before. So I love that.
So cool. So if we go back to 5-year-old Kat, what would she be most surprised about and not surprised about of where you're at right now?
I was such an introvert. I was so shy. I didn't even speak English yet till I was learning English. My first language is Polish. Yeah, it's funny because so in kindergarten, my parents came to the Christmas concert and I used to cry going to school. I never wanted to go to school. I hated it. I couldn't communicate. Like, it just wasn't like a safe place for me. And they came to the Christmas concert and I was Mary and I had like 3 solos in English and they go, whoa, okay. The stage was my happy place. Like that, the stage was where I found bravery, which is so interesting, right? Thinking back to what I was off that stage. So I think 5-year-old Kat would be shocked that she's sharing so much and, you know, putting herself out there so much in the ways I do in television or, you know, what I do on Instagram. I don't, I think 5-year-old Kat would thought she'd be sitting behind a desk. Her earphones in, just like so
Behind the scenes,
right? Well, nope. So
yeah.
it was kind of like, that's an epiphany I had too. I was like, wow, okay, so that's where you felt safe from such a young age, like on stage or in the spotlight, which is so interesting for an introvert. But I think a lot of artists are that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
And we express ourselves through our craft, through our art, and it's nice to have that outlet.
But I think if we go back to what we were talking about with the importance of words, even with when we were talking about authentic, is introvert extrovert. I don't know that we really even understand, because you see, you know, with yourself, you see you out talking as the host of the Raptors. I myself do a lot of public speaking and events. They assume if you can show up in that way that you're extroverted. And I'm like such an introvert that we just push ourselves in different ways.
Yeah. And I think introvert has to do with maybe also
How you
much
read, yeah.
need to
Sorry,
fuel.
I was going to say fuel. Yeah. But I think externally, we just assume and we label ourselves, oh, introvert, extrovert, that we don't really know how they express in the world.
How they express in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it has a lot to do with refueling, like how much, like after a game, my friends know that we're not going for dinner. Like, Kat's going home first and sitting on her couch for 20 minutes and just like, because I just need that quiet time to refuel. And I need a lot more than a lot of people. I know that. But
yeah.
It's being tested right now though, right? Like with having to be so-called introvert.
I know.
So I think that has to do with how much you need to refuel. Yeah.
Well, but then do you feel like, I think a lot about this because I used to think I was an extrovert. Okay. And then I figured, you know, and then when I realized how much time I actually liked being alone, that I was definitely more introverted, because I looked at as I would get a lot of energy around people too, because I loved hearing their stories. And I was like, oh my God, I love people. But then I also think that the more I've turned inwards and the more aware I've become of my own internal dialogue, you know, my own spirituality, I've then become more introverted. So I just question the entire concept of introversion and extroversion.
Extroverted introvert. You're gonna get me extroverted for what I do in the world, but
right.
But I think you feel good in that place, and that's why you appreciate it more, and that's why you enjoy your so-called introvert time, figuring out life and just realizing that what you can find in that quiet space really you know, sends you off in a good direction when you have a chance to get out into the world.
Yeah. Have you always been reflective?
Yeah, I have. I've always been somebody that just like sits back and really takes in what's going around her. And I realized that I've done that from young. Like I was kind of always, you know, that friend that was the therapist, and, you know, I was the listener, and so, yeah, I do feel that.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit more about your support system. Who do you have around you to help fuel you, to help build you up and support you on your life journey?
Yeah, my family has been a huge part of that. I'm so grateful that my siblings and I are so close. My cousins and I, we just booked a 8 p.m. chat tomorrow night, all 12 of us. But yeah, and I think as somebody, what I've learned as somebody that is a giver, you often forget that you need that support system too, right? You're that person, I don't know, I fall into that category of that person that, oh, she's always fine. She's always fine, right? And I often feel guilty asking for help or venting. Like I've really tried to let this go. Like if I've, finally have a chance to like say how I feel with friends or family, and then I would apologize, I'm so sorry for putting that on you. But I'm like, no, I like you need to have that. And so I've been letting go of that. I'm so sorry. It's a thank you instead. Thank you for listening. So that's something I'm working on. But yeah, no, I absolutely believe in a support system. I have a great group of friends too. Wine Wednesdays, as in like wine Wednesdays, where we just like talk it out, and anything that's dropped on the table is fine, accepted and supported. And I think I used to walk alone a little bit more than I do now, and I realize how important a support system is.
Yeah, and you've done such a good job building that, and also being a support system through social media and your community for others. And going back to that, what you said in the beginning of just making sure people don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
I said, I know part of, I'll use purpose is to bring us all together. Like, again, we're so different in, what families we were born into, where we grew up, what city we live in, what we do for work, but we're all so similar. And I think it's just so beautiful to be able to find that and bring us all together, and let's do this together, and at this time let's do this together. Like it's just even more present. So yeah,
that's awesome. So if people want to find you, join your community, support you, where can they find you and get in touch?
Yeah, I'm always on Instagram, so that's the best platform. So MatterofKat is my handle, and reach out. And I've gone for coffee with so many people that have just said, hey, I'd really love to chat, or we can jump on here. I genuinely love that in my days, and look forward to that. So yeah.
So beautiful. Do you have anything else, any message or words that you want to leave people with as we finish up this chat today?
I think I've been sitting on the fact that I think we really need to surrender to this time. It's bringing us back to simple, and it's bringing us back to the beauty of washing dishes and, no sound. Like I'm looking out my window right now, downtown Toronto is just quiet, and just really taking time to reflect. And because when we get out of here, things are going to be bigger and better, and it's just going to be so beautiful. So I think it's just really surrendering and not getting frustrated with the situation at hand. And and send me your thoughts on that on Instagram.
That's awesome. Cool. So go check out MatterofKat on Instagram, reach out. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable, being open, sharing you with the world, and helping people feel more connected every day. It's really important. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that too on this platform.
Yeah,
So,
awesome. Thank you. Awesome. So thank you for listening. I hope you take some of these elements that we've talked about today of, how to reflect inward, how to approach fear, and how to better connect with yourself and others. Thank you so much for listening, and we will chat with you soon. Bye for now.